Hey everybody, David Guido here, founder and CEO, Chief Encouragement Officer at DRG Performance Solutions. Second half of the summer's here. We're in that home stretch now, and I hope your summer's been great. I hope you're having an awesome summer. I hope you continue to have an awesome season. This week, we're going to talk about gossip. And gossip is everywhere, I think we would agree. And it takes on a lot of different forms, right? There's gossip at work, we gossip at home. There's internet, social media gossip. There's celebrity gossip. And gossip takes on many forms, has many different meanings. But for the purposes of today, we're going to focus on the gossip that comes to mind initially for most people when they hear the word gossip. Merriam-Webster's, our old standby, defines that gossip as follows: a person who habitually reveals personal or sensational facts about others. A chatty talk. I love that one, actually. A chatty talk. The most simple definition is to talk about the personal or professional lives of other people. Again, the gossip that we typically think of first when we hear the word gossip. And we want to talk about that. Do you gossip? Have you ever found yourself engaged in it? I think most of us have at one time or another. And what I don't know we think a lot about is the repercussions of that. The damage that can be done, not just to the person that is being talked about, that is being gossiped about, or the group, but also to ourselves as the gossipers. There's things that happen to us when we engage in that behavior, and it's an easy trap to fall into. You know, for the longest time, I gossiped all the time. I lived for stirring the pot, unfortunately. And I don't do that very much anymore. I can't tell you that I never gossip, and that I'm 100% gossip free. I get sucked in occasionally. When that happens, though, I feel awful. I feel lousy, and I know it's wrong. And what I've discovered is not only what happens to me, not only the damage that can be done to the gossiper, I've not only discovered how I feel when I get sucked in, but I've also learned the moves, the strategies that will immediately remove me from that, or in most cases, prevent me from ever getting sucked in. Again, not 100% of the time. You know, your guard gets down, is let down, and you get sucked in occasionally. But for the most part, these moves, these strategies prevent me from getting sucked in. And if I do get sucked in, one of these or more of these 4 moves get me out. So that's what we're going to talk about. The discussion today is going to be about what is the damage that's done to the person being gossiped about, but also to us. And also, what are those moves? What are those strategies that we can implement to prevent getting sucked into a gossip session, or to remove ourselves from it and get out as quickly as possible? Before we look at those things, I actually have 4 questions to ask, and these are 4 questions that you always want to ask yourself when you're about to engage in a gossip session, or if you catch yourself in one and you want to remove yourself. There are 4 questions you should always have in mind as you're about to speak. And the first is, if you're about to say something to a group of people about somebody else, will you say it to their face? And there's only 2 possible answers to that. Yes, I would say it to their face, or no, I wouldn't. Well, if the answer is yes, why aren't you? You should be saying it to them, right? If the answer is no, I wouldn't say it to their face, why are you saying it to anybody? And I think at that point, we need to look inward and see where the character flaw may be that's causing us to not feel comfortable saying it to somebody else, but always being willing to say it behind their back. And if we would say it to their face, we should just go and talk with them. So that's the first question we should always ask. Is the thing I'm about to say, or the conversation I'm currently engaged in, is that a conversation I'd have with that person to their face? Yes or no? And then act accordingly. The second question is the stuff I'm saying true? Because at the end of the day, if it's true, then why are we not bringing it to that person's attention to improve them, improve ourselves, and improve the relationship with them? Maybe improve the group, maybe improve the family unit, maybe improve the company, the organization, or the team, why wouldn't I do that? If it's not true, or we're not sure it's true, why are we rolling the dice and risking looking like a liar, or being called a liar, or being proven to be a liar? That's not good either. The third question is, who does it benefit? Is the family unit better served for saying all of these things behind somebody's back? Is the corporation better for it? Are the customers better for it? Are we better for it? Where's the benefit in having the conversation behind somebody's back? And typically there's no benefit. If there is a benefit, it's to make us feel better about ourselves. And if just at hearing that, probably you can say, well, if I'm saying something behind somebody's back to make myself feel better, that's not cool, right? That should be the first thought you have. So if it's not benefiting anybody, why are we doing it? And the fourth question that we should always ask is it kind and is it positive? One of the interesting things, and I've been guilty of this, one of the interesting things is there's so much negativity out there, whether it's a water cooler conversation or a Facebook post or something. Everybody gets upset at how angry or how negative it is, and then everybody piles on and says more negative stuff. When we're gossiping, when we're talking about somebody, if it's not kind and positive, how is it serving anybody? And it's not serving anybody. So those four questions we always want to ask. We always want to ask, is it something we would say to their face? Is it even true? Is it benefiting anybody? And number four, is it kind? Is it positive? But in spite of those questions, and in spite of knowing those questions, as I've said before, on occasion, I'll get sucked in still. We all will. It happens to all of us. So we need to be aware of what happens when we get into gossip. And there's four repercussions that we're going to talk about. And the first repercussion is your reputation takes a hit. Think about it for a minute. When you're sitting around talking with 3 or 4 people around the water cooler, when those people walk away at the end of the gossip session, do you trust them? They've just been talking about somebody behind their back, or a boss. Do you trust them as much as before that conversation? Do you believe that they're trustworthy? Do you believe that they have a high level of integrity? They're thinking the same thing about you. The person that's observing you from outside of the gossip session wonders about your honesty and your integrity if you're willing to talk about somebody behind their back. You're ruining your own reputation. The second repercussion is you're potentially ruining the person's or the group's reputation that you're talking about. And if you're not willing to say it to their face, and it may not even be true, and it's not benefiting anybody, and it's not kind to begin with, why would we want to risk ruining somebody else's reputation? So the second repercussion is very similar to the first. Not only is your reputation taking a hit, but you're potentially ruining the reputation of somebody else. The third repercussion is that you're pushing each other down in your group. In a family group, for example, where you're trying to be positive and uplifting and have these great, strong family bonds, you're pushing each other down. You're not lifting each other up. You're dragging each other down into a pit of negativity and talking about people behind their back. At work, everybody should be going together in one direction, and that direction should be up. And never during a gossip session or after a gossip session are people lifted up to new heights. They're pushed down. It's a negative pit of people pushing each other down. And the fourth repercussion is how we feel afterwards about ourselves. Yeah, the first one was our reputation to outsiders. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever left a gossip session and been more excited, more positive, more happy, more upbeat, more energetic, have a higher level of passion and desire and positivity, and you were just raring to go to tackle the world and do great things? No. I've been there way too often. I've observed it way too often. At the end of a session of gossip, whether it's around the dining room table or around the water cooler or on social media, nobody walks away from those conversations feeling great. Their energy is sapped. Their desire is sapped. Their passion is sapped. They're negative, not positive. So those are the 4 things that are going to happen anytime we get involved in gossip. So what are the things that we can do to avoid getting sucked in, or once we start to get sucked in, be able to get ourselves out? There's 4 things. And the first thing is to just simply walk away. Now, I can hear the people saying easier said than done, and I get that. But let's go back to one of the earlier conversations we had and expand on it a little bit. If you walk away, those people are going to talk about you, right? Potentially. Well, if they're talking about somebody else with you standing there, they're going to talk about you anyway, unless they have some sort of a change or metamorphosis, right? So they're going to talk about you and possibly mock you or shun you, whether you stay there or not. So if the right thing to do is not gossip, walking away is your first and most powerful strategy. The second move you can make is, before you walk away, is to say, we should stop doing this. Now again, same repercussion potentially, except for one difference. Remember we talked a couple of minutes ago that when you're involved in gossip, everybody leaves with less trust for each other and feeling that maybe not everybody around me is being as honest or as forthright or having as high a level of integrity as they should. If you walk away, if you say before you walk away, we need to stop doing this, it's not right, you may be shunned. People may be more inclined to talk about you when you're not there. But deep down inside, I'm convinced that they will have a higher level of respect for you, and their level, what they see in you as a level of integrity and honesty and trustworthiness will be far much greater, will be far higher than if you had stuck around. Does that make sense? So suggesting verbally that the conversation stop even before walking away can be a pretty powerful thing. The third strategy that you can make is to bring up the good points in the person. You know, everybody's got good about them. Every group has good about them. You can find good in everyone and everything if you just look. And if you're going to stay and you're not going to walk away, maybe you even suggest that everybody stop and everyone just keeps going. Turn the conversation. What a great way to kind of try to lift everybody back up if you're around the water cooler. Or if you're at home, what a great way to kind of rebound, rally everybody around the good points of somebody so they stop focusing on the bad. What a great example to set. If you're around the table and there's children at the table and you know, Uncle Bob is this and Aunt Sally is that and you know, and then all of a sudden you go, well, but you know what? You know, Auntie Sally's just had some problems, but deep down inside she's caring and she's kind and we really shouldn't, you know, be talking about her. We should be, you know, maybe trying to help her or maybe pray for her, whatever it is for you. A great turnaround. So interject into those gossip sessions, into those conversations, something positive about the person or the group that's up until that point's been maligned in the gossip. And then the fourth is to go to the person. You know, the first question of the 4 questions, remember, was, would you say it to their face? Well, go say it to their face. And here's a really cool side benefit to that. When you gossip about somebody, you can never have a great relationship with that person. It will always have some falseness to it. It'll always have cracks in its foundation because the integrity and the honesty and the character of a strong relationship won't be there because somebody's gossiping about the other person behind their back. If you go to that person, you have that conversation with them, it might be somebody you don't have a great relationship with, and then all of a sudden you're on the road to a great relationship with them, and you may end up with a strong bond with them that's based on integrity and honesty and character because you went to them and you spoke to them directly. So those are the 4 moves that you can make when you're starting to or have been sucked in to gossip. You know, first thing, walk away. Second thing, suggest everybody stop. Third thing, interject good things. And the fourth thing, go to the person directly instead of staying in the gossip or instead of involving yourself in the gossip. Now, one of the things I hear sometimes is, well, David, I'm not gossiping. I'm just stating facts, or my favorite when I was gossiping, 27 hours a day, it seemed. My favorite was, I'm just telling it like it is. And I was delusional. And don't fool yourself with delusional statements like that to justify your actions. It's gossip. And we want to get out of that trap of trying to justify with disingenuous statements like that. So to recap, the 4 questions you always want to ask are, would you say it to their face? Is it true? Is it benefiting anybody? Is it kind? Is it positive? We always want to keep in mind those 4 questions. And we also always want to keep in mind the 4 things that could potentially happen when we gossip, or that typically do happen. We hurt our own reputation. We hurt the reputation of the person that we're speaking about, or the group. The people that we're gossiping with, we're pushing each other down. And we feel lousy afterwards, and we sap ourselves of our energy. We sap ourselves of our desire, of our positivity, of our productivity. It just all goes away because we've had a negative conversation, and you can't be at your best with the ultimate positivity after that. And the 4 moves, the 4 strategies to get out of it or to prevent it from even happening to begin with: walk away, suggest it, stop. That's number 2. Number 3 is interject something good. Number 4 is to go to the person directly. Is to just go and talk with them as opposed to in that group. Doing those 4 things is part of having the right kind of life, living the right way with strong, winning relationships. I call it the so good life. When your relationships are strong and they're based on the right things, with the foundation of integrity, with the foundation of character, the foundation of honesty. It's part of the so good life. And that's the life we all want to live day in and day out. So thank you so much. I am so grateful. As always, I'm humbled. I love the comments that have been coming in, the questions that people have been asking me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful. Please share this. If you know that there's somebody who, like I used to be caught up in gossip constantly, 24 hours a day. If you know that there's somebody like that, and this message might resonate or give them something to think about, share this with them. If it serves them, I hope it served you. So thank you again. Until the next time. Go out there every single solitary day of your life and discover something new. Reach for your stars. Reach for your dreams. Go for it. And live a life that is so good.